and welcome to another edition of iDS Talks. My name is Hunter McMahon, and I'm the COO at iDS. I'm joined here today by Kristen Meeks of Meeks and Associates. We're going to have a great conversation about mobile data and the world of vehicle-involved accidents. So, Kristen, before we get started, why don't you give us a quick introduction?
All right. So my name is Kristen Meeks. I am in a firm based outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been doing mainly defense work for 7 years. And the majority of the work that I do in my firm is trucking litigation. And so that spans, we usually have, we always represent the insurance companies. And so we deal actually with a wide variety of companies that do trucking litigation. And that also will span from whether it is straight, long haul trucking to even construction, short distances, but different types of, big, heavy duty vehicles and such. So especially in 2023, I mean, the need for all of the data information, whether it's on the opposing side or the defense side, I think has been, rapidly growing. And so, we now, defense firms in Louisiana have been really reaching out to you guys. You're in your line of work. We're slow behind, but we now, a bunch of my firm and then also other defense firms get you guys in early because it is paramount to our defense in a case and or just even making the decisions of whether or not to, wrap it up and close down the file.
Yeah, it helps you understand what happened in the accident. So if we back up and look at cars in general, they're not just a turnkey and there's no data on the car. I mean, we've got smart vehicles and certainly on the defense side, you've got a lot of company data that is associated with the trucks. But the company has had data for quite a while, whether it's GPS data, speed data, turn data, camera driver or cameras, outward facing, inward facing, all kinds of data that could be part of a truck, or it might not be. Not all trucks are set up the same. But in your world, it's now evolving to where the plaintiff also has data and nobody's data poor anymore. So now it's getting to as much data from the accident as possible, which includes mobile devices.
Right. Yes. Could not agree with you more.
So now what are some of the questions that you're trying to answer from the mobile devices?
Okay. So for mobile devices, and typically I got to say for my drivers, that's when we're more I haven't been diving into their devices as much because that's where we'll go with the whatever software and stuff like that is installed in the vehicle. For mobile devices for plaintiffs, and I've been recently even learning so much more with the assistance, of involving you guys. But before it was always, I see it still all the time. And it is kind of crazy to me because, so I'm 35, and whether I'm dealing with other attorneys that are my age, or if I'm dealing with a lot of attorneys that are 60 years old, what was always commonplace was that you would send a subpoena to the phone carrier and you would say, I want text messages, call logs, and data usage. And it would be a very plain, data usage. And so nowadays,
a very generic request that said, give me anything and everything around the incident.
Right. And it was amazing to know. I mean, you may know like how many more users are likely to be Apple user, the iPhones, or whether it's an Android. But at least for the iPhones nowadays, even if you request call logs and or text messages and stuff like that, whether it's a FaceTime call or whether it's an iMessage, that's not even captured on someone's call log.
Right.
So the significance.
And that's the distinction, though, real quick on how the communication is taking place. So if it's sent via traditional SMS and MMS, the telephone company would likely have record of it. And if not, though, a WhatsApp message, a Facebook message, a text or an iMessage, the difference between the blue and the green on the iPhones, all of that is going through data. But the telephone company doesn't know whether that's a data from a refresh of a browser or whether or not it's a message going through. So data packets can convey with or without the user's interaction sometimes, but you don't always have that record that you're actually looking for.
Right. And it is surprising how many attorneys still to today don't even grasp that. And like I said, I've seen it from even the guys that are out there that are my age, and also the guys that have been doing this for a while and don't even think about, requesting the cell phone records. And so it's been huge to get ahead of it early and then send out these preservation letters. And I know I'm jumping ahead of myself. So
no, well, I think that's an important part, though. Why is in your mind, why have you started to treat mobile data differently than, say the medical records or the other aspect of discovery requests?
So, and I'll give you some examples. The mobile data, if you can get in there and actually get someone to give you, whether it's even the data from a picture. We've had where a plaintiff has come and said that they're taking photographs of an accident, or they're trying to track down our truck because our truck, it was a hit and run and our truck was off, into the night. And that they went and did all this due diligence and they, are calling 911. Well, we've been able to even take the data from the photograph that they were taking and do a timestamp and say that they were following our truck and took pictures at different areas throughout the day. And then I called 911, whether it was I think for the specific one I'm talking about, it was 2 hours later.
So that's a great example of getting the data and it conflicting with the story. And so it's not, on its face, it looks like they've got a picture of your truck and the story could make sense. But when you overlay that with your own data, where was the truck in correlation with their image files and the data that's associated with their image files, you can actually tell your own story, which may or may not corroborate their claim.
Right. And so there have been other aspects, though, in it where nowadays the information that you can even get from, so before it was always, whether someone or not was sending a text message. And like what you hit on earlier is, okay, well, now not everyone's text messaging. It may be, and even if it's an iMessage or if it's a Snapchat, if it's a direct message within these other third-party apps. And frankly, what I even get from when I depose someone, I'm asking, how do you usually use your phone? It is now, depending also on, what age bracket my plaintiff is in, but they're mainly using their phone for whether it's TikTok, some type of social media thing versus actually just using it as a message, text message. And so that data, though, that none of these other attorneys and, I work with a bunch of old guys and none of them even think they're like, wait, what do you mean? What's Snapchat? What's whatever? And it's something that doesn't
other activity. It's other activity on the mobile devices that could be, in many instances, distracting the driver, which could go to their how they participated in the accident or potentially caused it, as well as a different narrative or story altogether that they weren't anywhere where they said that they were when a supposed accident happened. So, data in general is helping you tell the story of reality as opposed to claims, which may be the same. But if it's the same, then you and your client know, okay, we had a hit and run and we have a problem. We should go settle it. We shouldn't fight this. Otherwise, you've got evidence that you can fight with.
Right. Oh, yeah. And so I keep on jumping ahead of myself. I'm sorry, because I get so into this just because of how much of an impact it has had on how we can assess our cases now. Even a well-worded preservation letter, frankly, puts the other side on, okay, wait, what's going on? They're either scared or they're like, okay, was my client, do I need to go, flesh out their story a little bit more? What's going on here? And so it really has had just such an impact on all of our cases, and, making those executive decisions of, this is one to fight, or this is one, hey guys, we gotta.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives you a strategic advantage to know right away what happened, how it has happened, and what you can use for it, as opposed to getting caught off guard on the eve of a trial or deposition with some smoking gun evidence.
Right.
So you start with a preservation notice. Obviously, you've mentioned that a few times. That's a new tool, new happy tool for you, or at least an updated version of it.
Yes.
And so you're obviously looking to put them on notice to say, hey, I know about this data. It exists and it's potentially relevant. So make sure you keep it. What are you looking for in a ultimate production that may or may not look right? What are the red flags for you, or the cautionary flags that say, hey, I need to look at this differently? Like the one example you gave, which was the timestamps on pictures. Yes, they were of your truck. That wasn't the problem, but something piqued your interest, and we're like, hold on, something seems off.
Yeah. And so I gotta say, for my drivers that I'm defending, and it definitely is different. There are different circumstances, but for a few of them, there have been, these guys will come in, they're like, I can promise you I did not hit this vehicle. I know where I was in my lane. If this vehicle, did hit me, some of the guys can't even tell really when I got them hauling like cement trucks, our big dump trucks, anything
Those are
like
big
that.
Trucks. You put a little car next to it, it's a bump in the road.
Right. And unless they're hitting it at a certain angle, these guys don't even know. So when they're getting waved down by people, like even, for instance, the one with the photographs, the guy said, he's like, I remember a car like driving erratically around me, but they never told me to pull over. I thought that they were trying to hit me. And he's like, and then it was over and I, went on my way. And that's what our GPS data in our truck was able to tell us. But sorry, going back to is this, the fact that early on, this attorney was able to say, hey, look, we have photographs, like this is a slam dunk. We have photographs of your truck. We have photographs of your guy just like driving, not even paying attention to us, that type of thing. When our driver's like, he's like, I'm telling you, I did not hit him. I did not hit him. And we were able to go see through the GPS. We're like, okay, so what's going on with these photographs? When did they call 911? Nowadays, it's so easy to make a public records request for 911 photographs. We're like, some things are not adding up from when our GPS is saying our driver's in this location at a certain time. 911 was done at this time. Okay, wait, so something's going on. What can I request from them that I can piece together the puzzle? So that's how it was. We knew that those photographs would be significant in that case. Nowadays, let's see, I recently got one, and I just won't say any names, but so it was another, this one's an 18-wheeler, and someone had gotten in front of our truck and essentially slowed down and stayed in the blind spot to where the driver couldn't see. And so in that one, even the state trooper that came out to investigate the accident was like, this is really fishy. I'm, confused, or your stories aren't adding up. And they ended up giving the plaintiff driver a citation. And so the plaintiffs are saying, absolutely not. We had no, your truck came accelerating when it should have been decelerating and came and knocked us. And now, they're paralyzed for forever. It was not a bad accident. But so for this one, I'm like, okay, well, I can see from the from those troopers' body cam footage that you have 2 iPhones. Okay, so now I want to know what you were doing at that time. I can see from other areas that they actually, the driver and passenger, we believe that they switched spots after they was driving.
Suspicious.
Right. A bunch of these, some people in lovely New Orleans, they will, some of them know how to hit an 18-wheeler. And so some of them, the people that are more experienced and feel more comfortable with it, will go and potentially run into an 18-wheeler. But so anyway, we now know that they have 2 iPhones. Well, then I want to know, from past experience, we usually do have people that follow our trucks. So, whether they have any type of app on their phone that is, tracking
anything that's logging their location, anything that's showing their activity. So one of the common themes that I'm hearing, though, is that it's not a single data source. So while we started talking about mobile data, we're really talking about layering all the various data points together so that you have in essence, a consolidated timeline. But that could be a myriad of different sources depending on what you have control of, what is available, such as the FOIA request or the public record request for the 911 calls, and what they have. So it's really the trifecta of sources that you're layering together to understand what happened. And you're looking for, it to make sense and sequence and timing to say what really happened.
Right. Yes, definitely.
So, wrapping up real quick, top 3, obviously a good preservation notice is going to be one of those. So I'll check that box for you. But what are two other top tricks or suggestions that you want to suggest to the audience?
Oof. So much. So frankly, I think though, what I was kind of getting at to earlier is that a lot of attorneys at this time, even though cell phones or iPads or whatever type of device they have, still are trying to figure out how much they can do. A lot of people, like I thought I was cool and hip, but I didn't know, before using y'all, for the first time a few years ago, I didn't know everything that y'all could, get from a cell phone. And it blows my mind. But so just reaching out and consulting with, iDS.
Being curious, what can a user do with a phone?
Right. And I'd say that was huge. Because again, mind blown what y'all can get. And then let's see, a last one. What is, let's see, there's so much. Third recommendation would be to also reach out. What type of things can you get, whether it is with your company, understanding like what the driver has,
what your own data footprint looks like.
Yeah, because that also will get you, whether good, bad, ugly. So really, it nowadays to me, it is getting every single thing that I can as soon as I can, and then being able to lay out to be able to do the strategic decisions of what do I need. So get your own data house in order.
Tell opposing party to have their data house in order, and look for the data of the user activity as opposed to the individual app or thinking of it, too narrowly. So you're looking at broader level activity.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Kristen. Always enjoy it. Thanks for joining us today. And to our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about iDS or subscribe, you can visit us at idsinc.com or wherever you normally get your podcasts. Again, thanks. It's been fun, and we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Have fun.